Hey Aries, what's going on? We are here with a timeless reading. Welcome. Okay, we have High Priestess, we have King of Swords, we have Strength, we have Three of Cups. There can be something that you're getting off of your chest. I'm definitely seeing a lot of resting that's happening too. Having King of Swords here can be bringing something to the forefront that you're processing, that you're thinking about. There can also be something emotionally that you're reconciling with as well. I think like especially with you and yourself, like your relationship with you and yourself, for some of you there can be another person or other people that are involved in this too. Now I'm also seeing Four of Swords and I'm seeing Death card. When we have this, it shows that there is a big shift that we are going through because a big shift is taking place, and I do feel like this is one that connects with you on a level that really impacts the way that you see things, the way that you feel things, the way that you're just like perceiving things in general. So because of that shifting, which can feel in a way like there's something transformational happening within your core, within the core of your being. So there can also be a need for you to, just as much as you're on, thinking about stuff, processing, maybe being like chatty even, there's also resting that's happening as well. There's also quiet that's happening, and it feels almost like a quiet rumble or a quiet shift that's going on. And this can also be something that you're more so keeping to yourself. Like, I wonder for some of you if you know that something is happening and something is going on, but you can be keeping it more to yourself, what's happening sort of as you're processing, but you also like know that a change is occurring. I feel too like maybe you see yourself as the type of person that would more readily be sharing things or talking about things, and you may be sort of keeping a bit more to yourself actually as you're going through this. I think taking your time, finding your way, working with yourself, and all the things that this brings up for you. I see a willingness for you to work with the part of yourself that is most deeply buried within you. This can even be like some spiritual quest that you're going on as well. Having the High Priestess here, there can be a drawing in the direction of the miraculous of some sort. There can be something esoteric that you're working with. There can be something occult that you're working with. There can be something spiritual that you're working with, something energetic that you're working with. Some of you, there can be a teacher that you're connected with, but it can be in some unconventional type of way that this is happening. And this can also be you connecting with your higher self and learning from that relationship as well. I do feel too like stilling rather than taking action is actually where you see things falling into place, and it feels like quieting and tuning in and hearing. Like rather than feeling like I need to do this, I need to go here, like I need to say this now, it feels more like a quieting that's happening, a tuning in that's happening, a touching base that's happening. And I think this is allowing the processes to be undergone that need to be undergone. And I think really on a mental level, like this can be something that slowly, the way that you think is changing, or like ideas that you have are changing, or ways that you see things, or narratives that you have. This can be the way that you communicate. It can be just what you think about. There's something big that's happening. I think especially on a level of perception, and maybe even to what you see as being truth, what you see as being concrete. This is also something that can be shifting too. You can feel as well like something is elevating for you. Because I'm also seeing this moving into some type of unknown space and connecting with that. And this can be aspects of yourself that you're connecting with, like unknown aspects of life even that you are connecting with, where the past and the future collapse into the present moment, and there you are. And so maybe this is all stuff that's allowing you to be more present too within your life as well. On a really deep level, when it comes to, in a way, I think for some of you there can be something going on that has to do with your relationships changing, or it can have to do, well, it can be relationships, but it can be what you're sort of connected with and where your energy goes mentally and emotionally. And there can be some type of shift that's happening on that accord, but also it feels like sort of keeping this more to yourself as this is happening. I'm not seeing you be really vibrantly loud about the process that's taking place. This feels like on a really subtle, like maybe personal level, that something big is shifting within your life. And you may not be being a mouthpiece for that right now. You may actually be doing the opposite of that and being quiet about that right now as you're going through it. Because you can also be looking and saying, I don't know what this is. I don't know what's happening. I know something's going on here, but I'm not really sure like what this is that I'm discovering, but I know that I'm discovering something. And you can feel also like it's not easy to do this. And I do feel in certain ways like some of you can have stuff that's connected with your past and your future that really are collapsing into the present moment, that's allowing you to sort of hold it all at that time. And there can be things about relationships, and for some of you there can be things about reconciling that can be happening as well. But this is only going to come from a place of you being in that position with yourself, and so that can be something that's currently being developed. And you can also feel too like it's a personal process that you're going through here, because I'm not seeing something where it feels like we have High Priestess, King of Swords, Death card, Four of Swords. This is like normally I may be communicating about this, or normally I may be saying things about this, or like sharing my process with other people. However, right now I'm going through this and it feels more like a singular thing that's happening. And you can feel too like you don't want anybody else's energy to maybe dilute this process for you. When I say dilute, I mean, you know, when you bring other people's energy in on things, it can sometimes compromise the integrity of something when you want something to be full of your own energy. And this isn't just like, we're gonna keep secrets just to keep secrets, or like, don't tell people things or it'll ruin it for you. I mean it more so on a level of, when you're keeping something to yourself, it's not going to be affected by the influence of other people and like their agendas and what they want and what they think. This feels like something that you may feel like, I sort of have to go through this on my own because I'm figuring out what this is, and I don't even totally fully understand what this is at this point. I just know that I need quiet right now. And I think within that space, you're going to find what you're looking for. You're going to connect with what you're looking for. And you're going to feel like it meets you at eye level. But you can feel like you need this time to be doing exactly that. Some of you too, I will say, like unexpectedly, or maybe you could have felt like against all odds, there can be a reconciling that's happening. And for some of you, this can be happening on a social level. Because I feel in a way like this can be happening with, it doesn't seem like one other person. This can be a group of people, or it can be like a circle, or it can be a community of some sort. Or there can be something like that that's going on that right now you can be kind of taking a break from. Or this can be a friend or friends or just something socially happening that in the beginning I'm seeing you sort of taking a step back from that because of feeling like I need to really hear myself think. I really need to feel myself feel, and you can feel like you need to be in that sort of secluded space energetically in order to really get a clear, strong message, because I am seeing something deeply felt. I'm seeing something deeply palpable here that comes to the surface. I'm seeing your energy be very, very, very powerful, and it feels like when you have sort of like sequestered it, and there's this line between what can influence it externally and then just your own perceptive energy there. I feel something very, very strong from High Priestess and the Death card, and I'm seeing this as being your energy, and it feels like something very powerful is taking place, and that it may also incite this strength that is needed in order for you to show up fully in the way that you want to, where you can feel like you're tapped in to this greatest element of your potential. And I think also to help you resolve something or some things that you want to address. Some of you, there's some stuff that needs to be worked out that you're figuring out. This feels too like before I show up and I bring my energy into this situation where there are other beings involved, I really need to get clear on where I am and what I'm thinking and like what my inner wisdom is telling me. And that can also be part of this process too. You can feel like you need to be in charge of what's going on with you. You need to be in control. You need to see the things that you need to see. And this can really allow for a necessary shift to be taking place where you can feel like you connecting is evolving in a direction that feels like you're getting more in touch with yourself and the rhythm of things. And to really go into those unknown spaces. This can be a lot of shadow work that's happening. This can be some stuff that before it was sort of in those more unconscious crevices that you're saying, you know what, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna shed light on it and I'm gonna see what's there, even though we can feel however we can feel about doing that. There are lots of reasons why we can at times not want to tread on that territory, but really all that you're gonna find is more of yourself in that space. But yeah, it can be something that doesn't feel easy to do. I'm seeing strength and I'm seeing the moon. So there can be things that we hide from ourselves that now getting to this point of being like, I want to see it, I'm ready, or like I know I can handle it. And I see to you doing this, it's really going to allow things to come together. I think this is going to end up having a social impact on you that you will feel you're benefited by. And I think it really helps you sort of come into your own energy and feel like you're showing up because you've developed something on an individual level where there's an individuation that's happened, and then it feels like there may be a reintegration socially. But the individuation has to happen first, and that can be what you're in the process of doing, and then there can be the reintegration that happens. But it's like if you don't do the individuation and you try to like integrate into something, it feels like you just take on all of that energy and you're like, where am I? And it just feels like getting lost within that before you've developed what needs to be, I think, like dissipated in the last steps of things before everything can sort of dissolve. There needs to be something to dissolve, and this feels like getting in concrete touch with that. And so that's why in the beginning of this, it feels like you're actually keeping more of a low profile, because there's heavy stuff that's going on, but I feel like what's happening is that this is going on an internal level. And so somebody looking at you from the outside can like not really know what's going on, but on an internal level, like on a mental level, I'm seeing a lot of stuff that's happening for you, like understandings about things, just putting the pieces together and whatnot. This is a very huge shift that's happening. So I'm seeing it really be a lot that's going on, and it's part of the internal experience that you're having, which will then impact things. It will impact the way that you connect. It will impact the way that you communicate, what it is that you have to say. I think also like what you feel like your place is when you're connecting as well, because you're understanding more of what that is. And this may be something that was possibly getting in the way before because something wasn't fully developed. I'm saying this too because the energies that we have here, we have the moon, okay? Moon, very receptive energy. This is something that's a reflective energy. When we don't fully understand our moon energy, it can really take on the energy of people and beings and climates around us. Then we also have Scorpio and we have Pisces, water signs. This is more feminine energy that we have. And then ultimately we step into the energy of Leo, which is going to be this like finding of oneself so one can express themselves. The divine intelligence that we are connected with, that we find when we go looking in the dark. And the darkness just being those unconscious things. And so that's like ultimately what we're stepping into. So we have the High Priestess, which is connected with the moon. We then have the energy of Leo, which is the sun. And so this feels like so all of this is to be able to better express what you feel at your core. Your design, essentially. So having to find that, and I think the moon can be the most tricky energy to get connected with because it is so deeply inside. So we kind of have to go digging for it. And so this feels like that process of digging that's happening. And what I'm seeing going on is that it does feel like this is going to have some type of social impact. And I feel like it's going to have to do with like how you carry yourself and also what you contribute and like where your mind is when you get involved in social situations. There can even be a rethinking about who it is that you connect with too. That can be something as well. And sort of like the energy and the spirit that you're bringing in too. Because Scorpio is not an easy energy to be wielding. Scorpio is very powerful and it can be very difficult to gain an understanding of. And so for those of you that you have Scorpio highlighted within your chart, we have Leo here, we have Pisces, we have Scorpio, we have the moon. Those of you that you have these placements, these are things that it can take a minute to learn how to work with them, and we can have to sort of isolate the energy in order to do that in whatever way it is that we can isolate the energy to understand it. And then once you do, you're able to drive the machine that is that energy. But before that, it can be out of control and it can be something that we're unaware of too. Like Scorpio energy, you can be bringing like bad vibes to everybody, but like not be aware of it. Or it can be like subtle manipulations that we're doing, where we think that we're helping out when really we're trying to control but not being aware of that. And so it's getting in touch with our power in a way where we feel like we are consciously wielding it, rather than it sort of like running rampant and then we're unconscious, but we're the conduit for that. And I think that the moon energy is the most difficult energy to know within ourselves, because of what we have to do to get in touch with it. Even though it is most naturally us, there are so many things that happen where we put on these layers that aren't necessarily us, for all the different reasons that we do, and having to take all of them off, having to shed all of that to find this within you, even though it is your deepest core. But that's the thing, when it's the deepest core, you have to go diving for it, and that's what's happening here within this. And there can be some very like earth-shattering things that you're discovering. There can be stuff that you were like, wow, I wasn't aware of how deep this was, or like what was going on here truly, and now I'm getting a better understanding of that. And I do feel like your social influence has something to do with this. Like, I feel like your social body, something having to do with you socializing and how you affect those around you, is connected with this, and that this is going to, I think, really bring a type of energy into the exchange that you would prefer to be showing up with. Whereas before, the energy that you had before, maybe there was something going on where you weren't totally fully aware of that. This can be moving more in that direction, feeling like you know what you're bringing with you. And you understand the power of your influence too. Because I keep feeling really drawn to the energy of Scorpio here. What goes on with this is that Scorpio can be an energy that shows up and feels in its shadow, can feel unrecognized, and can feel like needing to sort of move things around behind the scenes, and like be like, I'm underestimated, like people don't understand my power and like the influence that I have. Whereas it's like the Scorpio native that doesn't understand the influence and the power that they have, because it is very powerful. And this feels like getting in touch with that, where it's like seeing that within yourself and understanding that whether you recognize you have an influence or not, you do, and acting out because of feeling like things are not recognized, or like there isn't that influence, when really the whole time you're influencing, the whole time you're impacting, the whole time you're magnetizing. And so you can see too, getting into these movements of understanding whatever you're perceiving as the perception of you is just a reflection of how you're perceiving yourself. So you're looking around and saying like, nobody recognizes my power or the influence that I have, and really comes back to this belief that you don't see that within yourself, that you don't give yourself the credit, or that you don't recognize just how much power you really do have. Just an example of that archetype of energy. Connecting with the energy of Leo, to follow your heart. That inner authority to express yourself authentically, that you know what's best for you, to honor your nature. And the energy of Pisces is going to be that dissolution of things. That like, I have found myself, and now I allow myself to move fluidly within this. But there has to be that self-discovery first. And so this is what I'm seeing be going on within the process currently. We are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.